Alright, what's going on, dudes, and welcome to Minecraft version 1.8 beta, which is to date the largest single update to the game in terms of the sheer amount of new features added. In fact, there's so much new stuff that the only way to cover it all is to break the footage into a series of clips rather than the traditional single-shot walkthrough which I've tended towards in the past update overviews. Obviously, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get going. Right off the bat, the title screen has been updated to include a new background which pans through a set of predetermined images. These can also be changed to custom graphics if you desire. Now, when you go to create a new world, which you'll have to do in order to take advantage of the new features, you'll notice a couple of new options, including a toggle between the two modes, survival and creative, creative being a new addition, as well as an option as to whether or not you would like for the world to include some of the new randomly generated structures, which I'll detail a bit more in just a second. When you spawn into your new world and begin to explore a bit, you'll notice that the terrain seems drastically different in comparison to the previous versions of the game. This is because Mojang actually went ahead and overhauled the terrain generation code to now include much larger and more distinct biomes, tall mountains, dense forests, expansive deserts, winding rivers, and even a new swamp biome, which takes advantage of low-lying trees draped with the new vine block. You may also notice that the cloud height has been re-raised so that it is once again above the maximum block height, both giving the illusion of higher terrain, as well as you never again having to worry about those pesky polygons obscuring your vision when you are in the top floor of your castle. Once your first day turns to night, you'll begin to see the newly updated lighting effects, beginning with the fact that the day-to-night transition and night-to-day is now a continuous lighting change as opposed to the discrete shadowing updates which you used to observe in previous versions. The sunrise and sunset effects have also been adjusted to affect the coloration of the atmosphere according to the direction you're looking. Torches, glowstone, and lava also take advantage of the new lighting system and cast a much more glowing, bloomy aura around them. Now, provided you left structure generation turned on, with a bit further exploration you may stumble upon a village. These include houses, wells, and forts, and you may be happy to harvest some of the pre-grown wheats as a nice bonus to your inventory. In the houses you'll find the newly added glass panes as well as tables, which were possible to make previously with the help of some world edit, but are now craftable with the vanilla by simply placing a pressure plate on top of a fence post. For the time being, these villages are abandoned, but come 1.9 there is a good chance they'll become a bustling hub for NPC moderated commerce. Now dig down a bit and you'll likely end up in an abandoned mineshaft. These are littered about the undergrounds of worlds, and you may sometimes find tunnels that lead on for ages and may boast goodies in the form of randomly spawned chests with valuables inside them. And did I mention the fact that chests are now with an open and closed animation? Unfortunately, there's not yet a physical display of the items inside them outside of your inventory, but perhaps that will happen in the future. Following one of these mine shafts may actually lead you to an underground ravine, which is another new feature of the terrain generator and provides yet another bit of variety to the diverse new landscape both above and below ground. In some instances, one of these ravines may serve as host to the rarest of the newly included structures, the Stronghold. These strongholds are multi-leveled, ruinous, underground dungeons characterized by the new stone brick blocks, iron doors, jail cells made up of the new iron bars, and a large library, which always includes a chest housing an area map and other various goodies. Watch out though, because these areas are also heavily populated with bad guys, including the new silverfish mob, which disguises itself as one of a few types of stone blocks until punched. One wrong move inside of a stronghold can send an army of these guys your way, which will spell almost certain death if you don't have an easy escape route. Mineshafts are also teeming with cave spider spawners, a new miniature spider mob which is much more agile than its older cousin and poisons you upon contact. Back above ground, the night brings back some familiar but updated faces. Zombies now drop rotting flesh instead of feathers, skeletons have been trained to hold their bows a bit more naturally, and creepers, as well as TNT, now explode with a much more vibrant particle effect that is actually customizable. The new Enderman will spawn more rarely, wandering around and stealing various blocks until looked at which point they will become aggressive and teleport after you, trying to kill you. Your best bet for survival is to run to water, as Enderman will quickly drown and leave you with an Ender Pearl. The Ender Pearl currently serves no use but to tally your Enderman kill count, but perhaps in the future this will change. With updates to the mobs also comes updates to the combat system, however, and there are a few new nifty additions that will aid you in your slaying. First off, double tapping your forward button will now allow you to sprint, which, on top of giving you the ability to jump a 4-block gap as opposed to 2 by running a whole bunch faster, a sprinting attack will send a mob flying backwards substantially after being hit, allowing you to recover and get ready to deal the next blow. Every few hits, you may also wind up dealing a critical blow to your enemy, which churns out a 1.5 times damage multiplier. Jumping off a high point and bashing your enemy on the way down will also ensure a critical hit every time. The bow and arrow has also been updated, and there is now a charging animation you must go through before shooting, and there is a particle effect trail on the arrow once it has been fully charged and shot. Killing a mob will also make it drop experience orbs, which, when collected, fill up the experience bar visible in the survival game mode, and when you die, you lose all your experience, unfortunately. For the time being, experience has no effect except bragging rights, but this will likely be changed in a future release. Right-clicking with a sword also engages a blocking animation, but for the time being, this doesn't serve a use. However, in a future update, it will undoubtedly assist you in your fights. Now let's move on to the different game modes, shall we? Survival remains the same as ever, with unique additions being food and experience bars. Food will deplete over time, sprinting will deplete it faster, and health will only regenerate when the food bar is in the upper tiers. Once it depletes too far, you will actually begin to lose health, so always make sure you've got a stock of food in your inventory. Eating is also no longer an instantaneous process. There is now an nom nom animation that takes place before you see the effects in your food bar. So if you're in the vicinity of mobs, make sure you've got enough time to eat before they're able to reach you. Additionally, food stacks finally stack so that you no longer have to worry about your food stock occupying your entire inventory. Chicken and cows also drop meat now, which, like pork, can be cooked in order to restore more of your food bar. Again, food no longer directly restores health, it only restores the food bar, which will then gradually restore health when it is near full. The former cooked pork texture also belongs to beef, and the cooked pork texture itself has been redone. When searching for food, you'll also notice that mobs will attempt to flee from you once hit, and pigs have snouts. Over in the new creative mode, you're given a pre-existing inventory of most of the game's blocks, and from there, you're able to place down an unlimited amount of them. All blocks, bedrock included, are also able to be destroyed with a single punch, much like that of Instant Mine mode with single-player commands. Flying can also be enabled by double-tapping the jump key, and once in fly mode, you may elevate with the jump key and descend with the crouch key. It can also be disabled once again by double-tapping your jump key once more. A couple new menu items have also been introduced, including a field of view slider, which ranges from normal to Quake Pro, and a brightness slider that makes things a bit easier to see if desired. The multiplayer menu has also been adjusted to allow you to form a server list on your own. Finally, some miscellaneous additions include the fact that shift-clicking a crafted item will now craft all the items in the workbench queue rather than you having to right-click a ton to get them all. There are also watermelons, and bone mealing a mushroom will cause it to grow into a giant. There's also a very cool use for the new fence gates. You see, fence gates can actually be placed as a standalone block, and the unique thing about them is that when in the open state, a player can pass through them as if there was nothing there, yet the block is still able to be pushed by a piston. While this sort of thing was possible in the past with world edit data values, it's the first time it's been possible with the vanilla, and it allows for easy 3x3 or larger piston doors by using the fence gates as a sort of pusher block that you then walk through, and or elevators and things of that nature. And that about sums it up for the 1.8 update. Before we finish here, however, as I've made a bit of a habit of doing in the past several update overviews, I went ahead and this time purchased 2 Minecraft gift codes, so if at this point you still do not own the game, leave a comment below making note of that, and in a couple days time I'll use a random number generator to choose 2 people to whom I will send the gift codes to in a private message. If you already own the game, I just ask of you to please be kind enough to leave it to those who don't yet. And once the drawing is over, I will disable comments, so if you find yourself unable to leave one, check the current date in relation to when this was posted, and that's probably why. Anyway, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you did, it would be awesome if you would be so kind as to leave a rating, but other than that, a crap ton of stuff awaits you in-game, so go and have some fun.